Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Three Parallels Podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch. Yes, that is I. That is me. And today's guest, this morning's guest, whenever you listen to this podcast, guest, I bring to you is a special treat. This is my sister from another mister. She is awesome and always growing, learning, and figuring herself out. College educated. She serves as a sourcing specialist, and I'm going to keep it simple. She's in the healthcare industry because she does things that I didn't even know existed. It's too much for me to talk about, too complicated for me. So I'll let her speak for herself. She is growing and discovering who she was, who she is, and who she's trying to become. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you today my girl, Erin Odin. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. That was a hell of an introduction.
I mean, hey, my
I,
guests are special.
I feel it and I accept it.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Listeners, I need y'all to know, it's okay to accept your flowers, and this is a clear example of growth and someone being able to accept flowers. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm curious, how you doing, how you living, how you been? What's the latest?
The latest is the greatest because life is good. And I feel like I've never been able to say that and for it to last longer than the moment because we have
Whoa.
ups and downs, but I've been able to say this consistently for the majority of this year. We in August, about to hit September. And yeah, it's been a good year.
Wait a minute. Time out. The show just started. Like how we going in? The show just started. Let's talk
This
about
is
it. Let's just dive in. So having the best year ever, like that's not something common that a lot of people say. Like we hear people say it, but you're saying it and we know you or getting to know you. So if you don't mind sharing with us, tell us about this best year ever.
Yeah, okay, well, long story short, last year was a rocky road for me. I went through a lot of things, relationship wise, parenting wise. Then all came down crumbling when my grandmother passed away. 3 months later, a cousin passed away. So last year was heavy. Last year was dark. Last year I was struggling in many areas. But I feel like, New Year's, new beginnings. That's the mindset that I had anyway. Because I was like, you can't get no worse than this. When it could, but I ain't thinking that way. I'm gonna think the other way. So year started out just great. Got a promotion. My job came from being into the office 5 days a week to the option of a remote life. And I'm so used to a structured mindset. I'm thinking like, oh, so does that mean I can only come in on these days or such and such? And they left the door wide open for me. So I've never experienced this much work-life balance and freedom. So that's one layer because we all got to work.
Yes,
And
indeed.
so this work-life balance has been heavenly for me. I've been able to do more with my children, take care of personal business, and still get that check. And I've been great with that. Then next thing roll out, I have an epiphany on the West Coast. On the
Okay.
West Coast.
Uh-huh.
So when I came out there for a visit, I got more than I asked for. And so I don't know if something truly did take place that I just can't pinpoint one thing or if it was just the fact of getting away. But whatever happened over on the West Coast, when I came back to Ohio, I was a different person. I felt empowered to make decisions that enhanced my life.
Hmm.
And so ever since that moment, when I returned, things just started to roll the way they were supposed to roll. I started saying yes to things that I was hesitant to and being just free. Like I just feel like I'm just freer to do things. Now don't get me wrong, I still have struggles and stress and parenting stuff. Kids still work my nerves, but I'm able to manage it more because I just feel like lighter. Um, so all of that taking place, and then I got a new house. We moved to a new house, a,
Mm-mm.
a home that I would consider to be a dream home for me at this thus far in my life. And there's more to achieve, but from what I was trying to get since I was a kid, I finally got it. So that's
Wow.
another breakthrough feeling. So to say the least, this year has been amazing.
Sounds like it. Congratulations on everything, the job, the relationship, the parenting, the new home, the vacations on the West Coast. Like All of it. You living your best life. And you said
I
something that
am.
was really powerful I wanna go back to. And what I heard you say was like, it feels lighter. You let some things go. If you don't mind sharing
Hmm.
a little bit more, what does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I think I just had an issue with control and always trying to just basically make things go the way that I want them to go. I want relationships because you are my fill in the blank mother, father, brother. Sister. I expect you to act like this, or that.
Ooh.
And I was like really trying to make that be true,
Mm,
even in my own personal relationship,
yeah.
trying to make it true, trying to make the, perfect picture of a happy family for me, trying to make that true. If it's true, you wouldn't have to try.
Ooh, come on. We
I'm
dropping
just
bars. We just got
this is what
here.
this is what I be on. Like this is what I be on. Everybody can't handle it. Everybody
Okay.
cannot understand this level of thinking. So I do get excited when I'm able to just talk freely
Yeah.
and to to an audience who will actually understand, not just look at me like "You crazy." Well, if you think I'm crazy, let me be crazy, but I'm still free and enjoying my life.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of danced around your question, but just being, I think, what did rephrase the question for me?
Yeah. Like this change, this shift. It was heavy at first and now it's not.
Mm,
You let
mm.
something go. You let some things go.
Yeah, I think I removed the barrier for myself. I removed the barrier that was blocking me for blocking me from being myself because I
Mm,
was bound up by how I would appear to others, what others would think if I did this. Even though this is what I really want to do, I don't want to do it because they're gonna think that I'm a bad person, or they're gonna
mm,
think that I'm just no good or whatever. But being able to just be sure in yourself that
yeah.
if this is good for you, it don't matter what they think or what they say.
Whoa.
And so I
Whoa.
just adopted that concept in a lot of personal relationships with some family and some friends. Basically, it just they present who they are. You
Yeah.
either rock with it or you don't,
Uh.
and it shouldn't be forced. And I was forcing. I was doing a lot of forcing, but now I don't.
Tell us more, like this forcing and where do you think it started from? The origin, like you're talking about some really deep stuff that everybody may not get, they may not interpret at this level where they are, but they can get here because this is a whole nother level of thought and belief about self and about people, places, and things.
Hmm. Hmm. So, okay, one example I can think of is when you're at a job that you don't like,
Yeah.
but you feel like you have to stay there. Now, the reality is you have bills and you have to pay those bills, but you don't have to get your check from that place.
Ooh.
And just being
Ooh.
aware and not being afraid to step out and apply for another position.
Yeah.
Some people can't even do that because
Yeah.
they don't want to lose their benefits or they don't want to. What if this happened? Or what if it doesn't though?
Mm. Mm.
So I'm thinking like in terms of a job. Um, I went out on a limb and I applied for a position within my company. Um, just this is an example of just not being afraid because I'm fairly new to this department that I'm in now,
Mhm.
and I was just looking for opportunities to grow. So I went out on a limb and I applied for a position that I kind of felt like I was not quite qualified for, but that didn't stop me. But before, previously, I would have not applied. Like, no, I don't have the credentials. I can't. But whether I got it or not, based off of credentials, I wouldn't know. You know what I'm saying? When we get a job offer, we just accept it. You don't
Mhm.
always know why. Oh, because of X, Y, Z. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So I applied for this position and still, long story short, ended up not getting it, but not being ashamed, not being embarrassed, not being let down because I felt like I showed that I wasn't afraid.
Mm.
Whereas before I would have been afraid, I would have been held up. I was like, what other people would think. She doesn't need that, or she hasn't even been here long enough to take that position. Like all those thoughts have
Mhm.
no longer held me up from doing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, like whether I get it or not. You know what I'm saying? Like I still trust and believe that I will still be taken care of. no matter which way it go.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So how were you able to get here? Like what you're sharing, it makes sense to me because I live the same life or a similar life. But to others, like that's in that place where they are stuck at this job and they feel as though this is as good as it gets, and I can't
This
afford
is
my
it.
benefits and my kids and this and that. Like they're in that place and don't know about this other side that you just talked about. Like what was the bridge that you crossed to get there?
It's kind of hard for me to give a straightforward answer because I just think I just always aspired to do, to be, to feel, to live more.
Hmm.
And for the longest, I just the the fear was louder than the facts.
Ooh, wait a
So
minute. Hold on, time
all
out. You can't just drop that and keep moving. I can't.
I,
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna elaborate.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
but
elaborate.
hold on, real quick. Listeners, especially my listeners that got their journal, you get your scale journal out. You need to write this down, bars. So could you repeat that one more time about fear being bigger than one more time?
Yes, the fear that I had, the fears were louder than the facts.
Mm,
The facts were you can achieve and accomplish anything you want to. And while we're told that, we're not always shown that.
yeah,
So because I wasn't really shown that, you can go out and do absolutely anything, I believe that, well, that's just what they say, but that's not what really happens. And
yeah,
so I just felt like, well, if you don't have a higher degree, you probably won't get a nice house in a nice neighborhood.
yeah.
It just probably just won't happen.
Hmm.
That's who said that was a fact.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I just started to lean more into that, um, just reaching out, doing things differently. More so, I feel like it kind of started when I started to be isolated and being okay with being by myself. Because once I was by myself, I didn't have the other voices so loud
Yeah.
in my ears.
Hmm.
So, you know how there's a point in everyone's life where they want to be around a lot of people all the time.
Yeah.
I kind of had to stop doing that. So when I stopped doing that, I did more audiobooks,
Mm,
listen to different podcasts, YouTube videos, and then just going deeper in that direction. And then for me personally, becoming more aware of my spirituality
mm, okay.
for me, because I know everybody don't go there, and that's fine, to each his own. But for me personally, once I began to really know my maker, I began to know myself and to be more confident in myself. So it's kind of like it just all tied in together. I just kind of steered away from the negativity, even if that meant family, even
Whoa.
if that meant friends,
Okay. Okay.
coworkers that we normally kick it with on a weekly basis. I
Yeah.
just had to steer away and turn towards things that looked like what I wanted, sounded like what
Mm,
I wanted, pushed me more towards what I wanted.
wow. Wow.
So yeah, I kind of had to make that conscious decision.
Wow, that's next level. That's another level of self-awareness where you knew yourself well enough to know what works for you and what didn't, and you wanted more. You started, it sounds like you started to notice, like, I'm kind of outgrowing these people, places, and things, and where I'm trying to go, it doesn't match where I am, so I got to do something different. Like
Hmm.
that's huge when it comes to self-awareness. How did you become so self-aware?
It's hard to answer. I just became uncomfortable.
Ooh, ooh, speak
it
on
just
it.
it just didn't fit right with me no more. You know how say for instance you go to somebody's house and it's not the cleanest to your standards and
uh,
you just feel uncomfortable.
yeah, yeah,
I can stay here. We can kick it, but I just have to go home. And I just started to feel like that in my own situations, in
yeah.
my own relationships. Like, yes, this is what we've been doing since how it's been going, but now it's starting to really bother me.
Mm,
And instead of ignoring that, because if I choose to do something about it, then so and so might say this. They might look at me this way. So let me just stay, even though I'm not the most comfortable, let me just stay, just make it work, just force it to work.
yeah.
I just couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah. So it sounds like you stopped listening to this belief about other people's perspective or thoughts or judgment about you.
Yeah,
That's huge.
definitely.
That's huge. Man. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope y'all paying attention. Like, listen, I hope y'all are tuned in because she's dropping gems. She's dropping knowledge. And I love the bridge, and that bridge is who we were, who we are, who we're becoming. Like it's just so
Hmm.
constant, it's so consistent. And you knew when you outgrew that older version of yourself and decided to embrace a different version, and it's working out. It's really working for you. So I'm curious, how does this apply to motherhood, especially like being a mom and you changing, you growing, and how does this apply? How does it connect?
It's funny that you bring this up at a time where it's kind of in the forefront of my mind because uh just to be fully transparent, I struggle like with motherhood a lot of times. I struggled when it was a two-parent household. I struggled when it was one-parent household. Like motherhood is not for the faint of heart. It's if you want to do it correctly. Parenthood in general. If you want to do it
Hmm.
correctly, and not to say that there's one correct way, but if you're doing it consciously
Yeah,
with some intent, with some actual direction in mind, it can be challenging. It is challenging.
yeah.
Um, but I've noticed that my children have taught me, well, my children have put the mirror in front of my face to show me how impatient I really was.
Ooh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Ah.
Because I knew I was an impatient person. I am. I know that. And it's not okay to continue to be that way, especially when you have little ones looking up to you. Because then you're teaching them to be impatient.
Mm,
It's not working out. It's not good. It's not healthy. So it's like I've noticed how it affects me now. I'm able to not flip my lid so quickly.
mhm.
And I think it has something to do with being able to feel more freer and released and just relaxed. It's allowed me to be a better mother. I'm more patient with them. And I tried I tried the spanking, the yelling. Why? Because those were things that I saw and that was done to me and other children. So I thought that was what you're supposed to do, but not knowing that none of those ways teach you how to regulate your feelings and your emotions when you're going through something. And then connecting the dots when somebody makes you mad at work and you feeling like you're ready to do something about it, but you can't. So you have to learn how to regulate your emotions. And then realizing that what I witnessed didn't teach us how to do that properly. So now as a parent, I'm learning just as my child is learning that, okay, you throwing a tantrum, it's getting me a little bit hot. We both need some space, not just you, because I'm not just gonna lash out on you. I need a break so I don't lash out on you, and you need a break so you don't lash out on me. So we're gonna take some space
Mm,
and then we're gonna talk through it. Like uh everything that has happened this year has allowed me to do that. It has allowed me to view motherhood differently. Because especially as a single mother, it can be it can feel very negative,
okay, tell us
feeling
more.
like you have to, like, I just have to take care of the kids. Like, I just have to do this, but not enjoying the whole
Yeah.
motherhood process because your children are only their ages at the time that they are those ages. And
Mhm.
and it was like difficult for me to appreciate that because I was so just irritable and bothered and stressed, and it wasn't a really good fit. Like I was a good mom, but I could have been a better mom. And I know we say that, but I
Yeah.
knew for myself they need a happy mom,
Yeah.
and I wasn't happy in a lot of different ways. But one way that I had to like point the finger at myself was, okay, I'm very impatient. So
Mm.
let me work on my patience so I can be more patient with them. And things just started to flow better when I realized that the issue is not them, it's
Ooh, ooh, this is deep. Parents, I hope y'all listening. If you are a parent, I hope you are listening. This is huge. And you bring something up that I have to ask. I'm curious about because what you're talking about is emotional intelligence. You have an ability
me.
to manage and regulate your emotions to determine, what do I need to do to make sure I respond instead of react? Like knowing that for you personally, and then taking that into account as being a parent, like with your children. Where did you learn emotional intelligence? Like, where did this come from?
I would say, um, seeing what happened, okay, a lot of parents that I know of will spank and then ask questions or spank and then explain.
Okay.
And for me, it didn't work. It just didn't work that way. Like I never understood it. I never understood it that way. I felt like because when it happened to me, well, I don't want to talk to you now. I don't want to understand now. Like now I'm upset at you. And
Hmm.
I kind of carried that like all throughout as I was growing up. Like it's just I don't understand why people do that. So for me, it was just like I just never understood why it happened.
Yeah.
But trying again, not being afraid to go against what everyone else says about parenting, about my
Uh,
parenting, what I choose to do, trying different approaches
yeah.
and seeing that it worked.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe this is something we could try. And then also realizing just I don't know how just understanding how it feels when things don't have to be so irate. We don't have to be so loud. We don't have to be so violent and how we can talk through issues. And it's like, you know, the term calm before the storm, where it's like there's no storm. It's just all calm. We
Mm.
were able to work through this with, a couple waves, but it was no storm. Everything was fine. And I prefer that. Who
Yeah.
doesn't prefer that? So when I seen that, okay, it can happen, and seeing that it can be challenging at times, I will say, like if you in a line at the grocery store and you just gotta go, and but you still understanding that the child, depending on the age, doesn't really care so much about where you are. They're just upset in that moment, unable to handle their emotions. So
Yeah.
even though you may be in the line, and even though there may be a lot of eyes on you, you still have to control your own emotions so that you
Hmm.
can help your child manage their emotions. And what stopped me from doing that a lot of times was like, oh, I don't want them to think that my child is running over me, or I don't want them to
Hmm.
think like I don't have control over my kid.
Yeah.
When now those voices don't affect.
Mm. So they went
So it's
from
like,
a yell or a scream to now a whisper or nothing at all. Sounds like.
mm-hmm, yeah, because
Mm.
what does it matter? Again, that's the fear.
Yeah.
That's the fear of what they might say, what they might think. The fact is, this is my child. I'm trying to help my child regulate their feelings. So I need to regulate mine first so we
Yeah.
can, do this in a way that is healthy for the two of us.
Mm. That's
You
powerful.
know, yeah. So that's I don't know. I just feel that. And like I said, it is challenging. I'm not saying it's a cakewalk. It might take a couple times for you to really, do that successfully.
Yeah.
But as long as there's an effort, I feel like, that's how that matters.
Yeah. So I feel like we're going down this yellow brick road and where where everything that you started the episode with is we're talking about it in real time, like these different areas, these different arenas, and how you grown, how you changed to get this excitement of why you're having the best year ever. So I want to go into a different direction related to the relationship. Like, how did you use these same techniques and mindset to work through that relationship?
Hmm. Okay, so with my kid's dad, we had an off again, on and again relationship for a long time, many years. Um, and just to be transparent, because he was my kid's dad, I felt like, we were supposed to make this work.
Was that real quick? I hate to stop your flow, but I want to connect dots. That goes back to that rule. Like you had certain rules about who people were in your life. Is this okay?
Yeah,
Okay. Just
yeah,
making sure we're on the same page. I want to make sure all the
yes,
dots are connecting.
yes, because we were supposed because we have a child at the time, and still we back and forth. Now we have two, still, trying to work it out. And I felt as though we live and we learn,
Yeah.
and that's just life. In the same sense, if you're not happy in a said relationship, you can either continue to be unhappy or do something about it. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
that's something that you can even jump back and forth on, and that's what I
Mm.
did.
Yeah.
And it was difficult. And then you have to well, for me, I was factoring in my children and how they would feel. And the standard of it's supposed to be a two-parent household. And it's supposed to be, so that's what helped me a lot. And then when I started to accept that, I could still have the dream life of a two-parent household and everything that I want to have, but it just may not be with this particular person.
Mm.
And learning to accept that despite what as other people may say.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest hurdle for me, and it's something that still fairly fresh.
Uh-huh.
So it's still a work in progress. However, I do feel like switching off those fears and leaning more into the facts, and then also becoming more intelligently aware and emotionally aware of myself. All those things just empowered me to just sit in my truth and to know that if this is really my truth, and then the future will work out in my favor.
Mm.
That's just the direction I was going in. So whereas before I would say I felt stuck. I felt
Yeah.
stuck in the relationship,
Hmm.
and I didn't want to feel that way and shit and show that type of energy around everyone involved. So
Yeah.
I made a decision that other people thought was strange, but it's not about what they think. It's about how
Yeah.
I felt.
That theme seems to just repeat itself over and over
It
again.
does. It
Okay.
does. And it's working for me. It's allowing me to feel like I'm able to flow through life versus just, surviving, just trying to get by, just, another day. Like I don't feel that way anymore. I used to everything it's funny. When I woke up in the mornings, I really used to feel like, oh, I do not feel like getting up. Like
Yeah.
every morning I used to feel like that. And
Uh-huh.
I feel like looking back, I'm like, you're so ungrateful. What do you mean? Like it's a whole new day, a whole new opportunity. Like
Yeah.
that's the new me talking to the old me.
I like
Because
it.
I do remember feeling like that. Whereas now, of course, there's times I'm tired. We're all tired,
Yeah.
but I'm ready to see what the day got in store.
Mm. Mm. So it
It's just
sounds
a
like
mindset shift.
I was just gonna say that. I sound like a mind. You change your mindset. We are so connected right now. I'm loving all of this.
Yes.
Okay. So this mindset shift, and this is going to take us to the other side of the yellow brick road. This mindset shift help you overcome this belief about the house you could have to the house that you actually have, that you felt as though you needed to have certain things to get. And now you have that house. Like you got to tell us about that mindset shift to get where you are.
Yeah, that's something. I don't know how many, excuse me, I don't know how many people can relate to manifestation.
Okay.
I feel as though I manifested this house since I was a child, but I didn't know I was doing
Ooh. Real quick to the listener, real quick. We gotta take a pause. Listen, you dropping so many gems right now, and I don't want nobody to miss it. Listeners, take a moment. Stop whatever you're doing. And I mean this. I'm dead serious. Stop what you're doing. Get your scales journal and start writing what's about to come up. I have no idea what's coming, but I know it's gonna hit somebody in the head with a honey bun. Let's get it.
it. Hit them in the head with a honey bun.
All day.
So I feel like since I was a child, it was a particular type of home. I didn't have a certain area in mind. You know, I focused more so on the feeling versus like the actual details of it. So I always just envision myself having um an updated, like a new construction home. And now for some people that may be like well, that's nothing. That's fine for you. But for me, everyone grew up differently, and it doesn't even matter where you grew up or how you grew up, you want what you want. So I just,
Mm,
as a child, saw something that was seemed so big to me, so far off to me, something that I thought, oh, only rich, quote unquote, rich people live over there, or
yeah.
only, people who are married, two-parent households. It has to be certain things that are met before someone can actually get that type of house. That's the thinking that I had.
Yeah.
And although I had that thinking, I still wanted it.
Hmm.
And I feel like I wanted it so bad that it just came into my orbit and I eventually got it. Because
So you
obviously at the age of 7, 8, or 9, I wasn't actually saving up to buy a house, but that desire never left.
so from 7, 8 years old, this idea of this house, all the way to getting the house, what were those moments that you knew like it's because of this that might have led to that? Like you said, that desire always been there, whether you knew you could do it or not. That desire was there, and I'm sure there was
Mhm.
other things along the way that you may have done to attract this house.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm a spiritual person. So I kind of always would, and you could call it what you want. but, but when you go and you meditate on something, to me, prayer and meditation go hand in hand.
Mhm.
You can pray to whoever you want to pray to. But I did those things like when I became old enough to realize, oh, it's not so challenging to buy a home. I mean, it can be, there are some challenges, but it's like not out of my reach. So I started to like become interested in purchasing a home, working part time, 20 hours a week,
Yeah.
2 kids,
Wow. Wow.
but just going out there and not being afraid. And this was when the fear started to. No, no, the fear was already loud. I ain't gonna lie to you. The fear was loud, but the facts started to become louder.
Ooh, oh, break that
So
down. We need to see. We gotta go from how loud they were to how you quieted them down with the facts. Please give us that.
all I knew about homeownership seemed negative. That's all I ever knew. Like growing up, like I didn't really know a lot of people who were successful homeowners,
Yeah.
and so I felt like it was out of reach.
Mm,
Um, but still having that desire to one day own my own home and own this particular type of home, so I just never let it go. So I did schedule a meeting with a realtor. Just for me, it was an informational meeting.
yeah.
Um, but during that meeting, because I do my research, we got to talking, and he said, "Sounds like you're ready. It sounds like you're able to do
Mm,
this." I
yeah.
was like, "Oh, but no, I mean, it's just me, and I don't really have all the money and everything." So, first of all, trusting a good realtor to lead you through the process, but
Yeah.
then also not being afraid. I lived in my first home for 2 years, 2 years, and it was things worked out. Like I just one thing after another just kind of worked itself out, and then it became that's when the fear started to quiet down. The facts was you live in a home, you gonna take care of it just as if you would take care of an apartment.
Mhm.
You call someone out. I mean, there's different programs. There's so many programs that I just didn't think to look into
Yeah.
because I was only renting and I thought homeownership was so far out there. I didn't know that there was even aid for homeowners. So just not being aware, you
Yeah.
know, I just didn't even know to go there. But once I took one step, then I was able to take the next step. Then I was able to take the next step. And then the more steps you take, the more bigger the facts appear.
Mm,
So the fear has no choice but to quiet down because you're seeing all these facts. Like, okay, I can do that. Oh, that's all I had to do. Oh, okay, I can do. Okay, and it's just like kept going. As long as that desire is there,
yeah.
you will be able to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. So after
Wow.
that house, um, this other house became available. It was ups and downs. At first, it was in my budget, then it was out of my budget, and then I really just took it to the Lord. I really just prayed with several times with myself, my children. Just I really like poured in. Like if this ain't the house, then I know I'm gonna get something better because the house looked picture perfect to me. It just looked
Yeah.
picture perfect.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, everything just worked out in my favor. And I'm not saying like everything always will 100% exactly what you want. Obviously, it's whatever his will is for you. But all in all, I never lost the desire, even when the answer was no.
Hmm.
This particular house at first, like I said, it was in my budget, but they decided to do some updates and took it out of my budget. I
Okay.
still didn't lose hope.
Mm. Hmm.
I didn't let the fear run me away.
Yeah.
So I think that answers your question. I just feel like the desire is what drove me, and then, like I said, taking that one step and then taking the next step, and just seeing because you never know until you try. So, but
Yeah.
every step that you take, you learn something.
So that sounds like moving away from a very black and white mindset, win or lose, right or wrong. It seems like you kind of eliminated that where you're just taking steps and learning from the mistakes along the way.
Yeah, yep,
How
definitely.
that's a struggle for many of us, like getting out of that black and white mentality. So you're just doing multiple mind shifts, like how did you get to that place where you stop living based off of how many of us are taught to live, where it's black and white. It's either one way or the other. And you moved away from that, where it sounds like, oh, instead of win or lose, you started to live by win or learn. And you just kept
Hmm.
learning and growing and figuring out and still moving towards. And what I hear you say is the desire never left. So you just kept
Right.
walking. So tell us more, like, how did you get this different mindset to move away from, I feel like the majority of us have this black and white thinking.
I just think that's just a fight in me. Like I just refuse to settle.
Mm,
And there's moments I refuse to settle long term. I should clarify because obviously there's moments where we may not feel like we're doing the best that we can, and there's times where it's not as easy and we're a little more tired and whatnot. So when I say I refuse to settle, I refuse to give up completely. Like I refuse to throw in the towel completely. You might knock me down, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna get back up. Um, so I don't know. I just felt like that fight was just in me, and I just wanted to keep on to see how far I can go. As long as I'm able,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
But I wasn't content. Like there's moments of being content with what you have, but I still like wanted more, and I still want more. Like I
Okay
still
then.
want so much more. This is this.
Okay.
I just feel like once how you just have like extra weight on you, so it makes it harder for you to pick up speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like
Mhm.
I've been shedding a lot of weight, whether that was you know um other people's energies or even other people's opinions. When I say other people's energies, I mean being around the wrong type of people, the type of
Okay.
people that just it doesn't feed your spirit. They don't, bring you joy or happiness.
Yeah.
I had to I had to cut ties.
Mm.
And then the opinions, that was a weight. The opinions of other people, whether it's family or friends, that was extra weight. I had to let that go.
Yeah.
I had to just leave them as that's just how you feel, that's how you think. We can agree to disagree. But I can't let you affect my happiness. I can't let you hold extra weight on me because you messing up my momentum.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, yes, one thing started with like the relationship and then it migrated to other areas of my life, other people's opinions. And I just been going ever since.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's easier to do it now. Once you start, like it's easier to continue on in this direction versus going backwards.
I love it. Love it. So how can someone get started? Like you got it. You got this snowball effect going. How can somebody at least just start rolling that snowball?
I know for me personally, I wrote down what I was going to have. And I'm not a big person to like do a whole big vision board every year. I don't always do that. For me, it's more personal. So I just write it so I can see it. So I,
Yeah.
I would write down like I will be a homeowner. I
Mm.
wrote down like I will have multiple streams of income. I
Okay.
had no idea how these things were going to happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, they weren't happening in that moment, but I wrote them down because I wanted them to happen.
Yeah.
And then life went on. Sometimes I would lose that sheet of paper, but I never lost the thought and the idea. So I write it down
Mhm.
on a piece of paper. Like as long as I was continuing to write it, because I'm gonna make sure I see it.
Yeah.
Because I already think it, I
Mhm.
already feel it, and I just need to see it. So I would definitely say that was a huge starting point for me, or I would say that's a huge starting point for anyone is to just write it down. Write down what you want. Tell the
Mm.
world when
Okay.
you writing it, you really tell you putting it visually. So
Yeah.
now it's available for every other people to see. So write it down and then start to embrace the feeling of it. Like envision how you will feel once you have such things.
Yeah.
I remember starting that way. And it's funny when I go through my older my junk box of things that I save and I see like old notes that I wrote things on. It's like I was really on it.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So before you get out of here, we got a little rapid fire. A few questions I got for you. Whatever comes up, we'll take it. So I'm
Okay.
curious. We're curious. The listeners are curious. Over these years, and especially this year, what would you say you've learned about yourself?
But I have learned about myself. I learned to love myself. I learned to treat myself as if I'm treating someone else. And it's so funny because that sounds like, what? Like, some people truly don't enjoy their own company.
Ooh, ooh, honey bun.
I, I learned to listen. I made myself just a sub sandwich for lunch, little side of broccoli, some chips. But I didn't just throw it all on the table. So I got me a nice looking dinner plate. I cut that sandwich perfectly in the middle. Spread. I fixed my plate like I would fix my man's plate.
Okay, let's go.
I'm just saying, I learned how to love myself. And just like the
Mm,
things that I like to do, not being afraid to wait on someone to take me to do them. Like I just began to do them. And so
yeah.
I just started to, as you do more things with a person, you usually kind of like them a little more, or you learn more about them.
Uh-huh.
It's just the same with yourself.
Mm.
So I really
Ooh.
have learned to love myself so much. And I
Come
think
on.
I'm hilarious. So I just be cracking up about myself all the time.
I'll take it. Come on, three parallels. Okay, let's go. All right. So you learned about
Yes.
yourself. What have you learned about other people?
Mm. Other people. I've learned to take people for who they are instead of who I expect them to be.
Ooh, time out. Wait a minute.
I know that's part
Listeners,
two. That's part two.
listeners, get your Gator Scale Journal out immediately and write down these bars, these nuggets, this honey bun. Could you repeat that if you don't mind?
Of course, I don't mind. I've learned to accept people for who they are instead of who I expect them to be.
Damn.
Whether that be family, I'm gonna say it all the time, whether that be family,
Mm,
friends, co-workers, people in your church, it don't matter.
yeah.
It don't matter. So just because they, you know, just because they are your supervisor, they're still a person at the end of the day. So accept them for the things that they say, the things that they do. Just take it at that. Not, well, you're my supervisor, so you should. No, no, no. So you're a person. It's like I'm a person.
Mhm.
You talking crazy here. You probably talk crazy outside of work as well.
Ah. So you're saying it's a flawed human being who happens to be your supervisor, your sister,
Who
your brother, your
happens to
mother,
be?
who happens to be. That's big. That's big.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is so good. This is so good. All right. Who is or was your hero or one of your heroes?
You know that's I can't never just give a regular answer.
I'm okay with irregular answers.
It's always so for me, and I remember being asked this as a child too, because especially with kids, it's easy. Like, who's your hero? I always say myself,
That's what I'm talking about.
and I still feel that way. Like there's no one that I want to. Um, there's no one that I'd rather not disappoint the most, other than myself.
Mm,
I let somebody else down, so they get over it. Blah blah blah. They may remember it, may not. Move on. I'm never gonna forget.
yeah. Yeah.
So I am my biggest hero because I really like when you learn how to talk to yourself in third person, it's like easier to treat yourself nicely.
Ooh. Can you give us an
So,
example?
for example, for me personally, like when I applied for that job position
Mhm.
and found out I didn't get it, I didn't beat myself up about it. Oh, you should have did this. You should have did that. No, because why? If someone came to you and said, I applied for a job but I didn't get it, is that what you're gonna say to them? You should have did this. You should have did that. You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't. If you do, please stop. So I just started to talk to myself in that same way.
Mm, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That is so powerful. All right, I love it. I love that answer. You your own hero, and you keep getting better, or shero, we'll call you. You just keep
Mhm.
getting
Yeah.
better. All right. So, what's a word, phrase, memory, or moment that has stuck with you personally or professionally that you want to share with the listeners?
Now I'm kind of embarrassed to say it because I don't remember the person's name, so I can't give proper credit. But someone once told me,
We'll take someone.
okay, never use someone else's measuring stick to measure your own life.
Yeah.
And when I first heard it, I didn't really understand. I didn't really understand what that specifically meant. But in a nutshell, like don't compare yourself to someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just want to break it down like that, don't compare your life to anyone else. Don't compare your race to anyone else. Like it's that's how you get that. That's how that fear starts to come louder than the
Yeah.
facts. Because
Gotcha.
if you're just focusing on yourself, you know the facts. You know what the facts are. If
Yeah.
you're good at fixing cars, you know you can't be a mechanic. That's a fact. But your fear will be you comparing yourself to, I don't know, somebody who worked at a Tesla and they know how
Yeah.
to put the whole thing together. You're not supposed to be looking over there.
Yeah. Stay
Go
in your
use
yard.
someone else's, right? You're using somebody else's measuring stick. That's not,
Mm,
no.
that's
So
good.
yes, just don't compare yourself. Compare yourself to yourself if you want to do some comparison.
Three parallels
That's
all
it.
day. That's why this show just keeps getting better. So, two more questions. I'm gonna get you out of here. An interesting fact about yourself that you want to give to the listeners.
An interesting fact. Well, I'm a Missy Elliott fan, and I used to feel like I could rap like her.
I love it.
And no, I will not spit no bars at this time because I
Understood.
said used to, but it's still a part of me. But any Missy Elliott song on there, I'm gonna know it word for word.
Okay. So, to the listeners, just know this is why there are several Missy Elliott songs on the Three Parallels podcast playlist. This is why. Okay. This is the person that's responsible for all this Missy on the, on the playlist, which is
You know
okay.
how I leave
I'm
my
okay with it.
fragrance on. I leave my fragrance on the podcast.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Leo, oh, that's good. I'm gonna leave my fragrance on the pot. I'm done. Listen, this is the last question because I'm gonna have to have you back. I'm gonna have to. Last question
Yes.
is life work. So, for all of you, to the listeners, and even my new listeners, life work is like homework, but very different. Homework, you do it, you take it home, you never remember it again once you turn it in. Life work, you take it home, you do it, your life change. And at
Mm.
any time you choose to do something different, your life will change. So, Erin, for the listeners, I would love for you to give them life work. So, if you could offer a keepsake or a word of wisdom or whatever you want to share to the audience that they can keep for themselves that may have helped you or something that you just want to help them.
Hmm. Um, I'll keep it simple. Every day, just say for the next, just start small for the next week. Every day, write down three things that you're grateful for. Just see what happens. You don't have to
Mm.
share. You don't have to share, but just see if that make any difference in your week.
Ooh, bars,
Yeah.
honey bun.
We don't have normal conversations around here. We go deep.
That's what I'm talking about. Higher thoughts. Yes,
Yes.
indeed. Higher thoughts. Yo, thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm glad you made your appearance on the podcast. Yes, I will have you back
Indeed.
because we got some more work to do. We got some more work to do. I
Yes.
really appreciate you. Big shout out to women. Big shout out to mothers. Big shout out to single mothers. Big shout out to mothers who left their unhealthy relationship or outgrew people, places, and things and did exactly what you're doing. And those who are about to do it because of this podcast and those who are still waiting for
Yes.
something to make that move. This might be that something. So, thank you all to the listeners for tuning in, for dialing in. Thank you, Erin, for being a phenomenal guest. And
Absolutely.
I do believe in giving people their flowers while they can smell them. And I appreciate you for being the woman that you are, the mother that you are, and being a phenomenal human being. It's rare, in my humble opinion, and I work in the helping profession. It's rare to find great human beings because human beings experienced human things that's
Mm,
prevented us from being our best self and authentic self. What you
yeah.
shared was your authentic self, which a lot of people haven't been able to reach that pinnacle of because of exactly what you shared, their beliefs and ideas about what other people think about them.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being you and changing and shaping and directly and indirectly impacting all the listeners that's paying attention. I appreciate you. I value you. And for those who want to get in contact with you, for those mothers who like, hey, girl, I need help, for whatever the case may be, how can people get in contact with you? How can people connect with you?
Well, yes. Facebook will probably be the easiest way. So Aaron with two N's, Erin Odin. That's me. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one.
I'll take it. Thank you so much. This has been another phenomenal episode of the Three Parallels podcast, working towards who we were moving out of the way of who we were, accepting and embracing who we are, and making room for our better self. You get to decide every single day, who am I going to be today? I would challenge you to go to your journal, find out those nuggets, those things that popped up today, and actually do them. Erin charged you with some life work, so you don't need nothing from me. Good night. God bless. Peace.